What if the universe isn't just going to end, but that its end is a form of cosmic torture? The laws of physics themselves have written 10 different scenarios for our annihilation, from an instantaneous erasure to a slow, agonizing fade into eternal cold. And the most disturbing part is that one of them is already in motion. The unstable fraud, the reality you are in right now, is a lie, a cosmic fraud. Physicists know this, and they have a dark secret. Our universe is existing in an unstable state. At any second, a bubble of true reality could burst, expanding at the speed of light. It wouldn't just destroy you, it would rewrite the very laws that make you, erasing you from time before your brain could even process the thought. This is not a movie plot. This is vacuum decay. To understand it, you must first understand that the empty space of our universe is not empty at all. It is a roiling quantum field, governed by the laws of physics. Those laws, particularly the one that gives particles their mass, are determined by the Higgs field. We exist in this state, which physicists call a false vacuum, because it is stable, just as a glass of water resting on a high shelf is stable. But it might not be the most stable state. The universe, like all things, seeks its lowest energy state. The true vacuum is a state with a much lower energy level. The problem is that our universe is stuck in its false state, separated from the true state by a massive energy barrier. It's like a ball stuck in a small ditch at the top of a mountain, when the real, deep valley is miles below. For millennia, it can stay put, but in the quantum world, there is always a chance the ball will simply tunnel through the barrier and begin to roll. If, somewhere in the cosmos, a single point in the Higgs field tunneled to its true vacuum state, it would create a bubble. This bubble would not be made of matter, but of a new, different reality, with different fundamental laws of physics. This bubble would expand outward in all directions at the speed of light. Inside it, the very rules that hold atoms together would cease to exist. Electrons might have different charges. The strong nuclear force might vanish. The consequences would be absolute. As the wall of this bubble swept over the Earth, it would disintegrate our planet, our sun, and our galaxy, not in an explosion, but in a fundamental rewriting of our existence. We would not see it coming. There is no warning for an event traveling at the speed of light. It would not be an event so much as a final, system-wide correction. Physicists debate the likelihood. Some calculations suggest our universe is metastable, meaning it will certainly collapse, but the timescale is so long, perhaps trillions of years, that it is irrelevant. Others suggest it could be on the very edge of instability. The most disturbing part is that we can never know. A vacuum decay event could have already occurred a billion light-years away, and the bubble is on its way. It is the ultimate cosmic error, an erasure so complete it would be as if we, and our entire universe, had never been at all. The cosmic tear. We know an invisible force is pushing galaxies apart. We call it dark energy, a mysterious pressure that is causing the expansion of the universe to accelerate. But this is the gentle baseline theory. A far more violent and specific theory exists. It poses a question. What happens when that force stops just pushing and starts shredding? This is the end known as the Big Rip. It begins with a variation of dark energy known as phantom energy. Unlike the stable dark energy we think we know, phantom energy is a force that increases in strength over time. Its repulsive anti-gravity push becomes more powerful, more dominant, with every passing eon. At first, its effects are subtle, just another cosmic observation. But this theory provides a specific, horrific countdown to the end of everything. The first phase of the rip would begin billions of years from now. The phantom energy would become strong enough to overcome the gravity binding galaxies together. From a vantage point on Earth, we would watch the great spiral of Andromeda, our nearest galactic neighbor, halt its journey toward us and begin to pull away, its light redshifting into oblivion. One by one, every galaxy would be pushed over the cosmic horizon, leaving us utterly alone in an empty black void. But the phantom energy would continue to grow stronger. The second phase would begin. With the galaxies gone, the energy would attack the next strongest bond, the gravity holding our own solar system together. Months before the end, this force would become more powerful than the pull of our Sunday. The outer planets would be flung first, catapulted into the cold darkness, then Jupiter, then Mars. Finally, the Earth itself would be torn from its orbit, its inhabitants, if any remained, watching their sun shrink to just another star in a sky that was no longer home. The escalation would become rapid, moving from celestial to terrestrial. Minutes before the final moment, the phantom energy would overcome the gravity of the Earth itself. The planet would be pulled apart, the core, the mantle, the crust, all torn asunder. Continents would shatter and float away. The very ground would disintegrate. In the final femtoseconds, the phantom energy would reach its ultimate strength. It would overwhelm the electromagnetic forces that hold molecules together, and then, finally, it would overpower the strong nuclear force, the fundamental glue of reality. Every atom in the universe would be ripped apart. The fabric of space-time itself, stretched beyond its limits, would be torn into infinite, disconnected threads, and the universe would end as a shower of fundamental particles that can never interact again. The long night of eternal stillness. How does the universe end? Not with a bang, but with a slow, agonizing fade into absolute zero. A cold, lonely darkness where even atoms cease to move, and time itself loses all meaning. This is the heat death, or the big freeze, and it is not a fringe theory. It is the most likely, and perhaps most terrifying, outcome of our current understanding of physics. It is the final, logical conclusion of the second law of thermodynamics. This law states that entropy, the measure of disorder in a system, can only increase. The universe is a closed system. It began in a state of low entropy, the highly ordered, concentrated energy of the Big Bang. It has been winding down, ever-ticking clock, a one-way street from order to total, irreversible chaos. The first stage of this end is the end of our current age, the stelliferous era. In about 100 trillion years, the last stars will have ignited. All the available hydrogen in the cosmos will have been fused. The universe will go dark. The sky, once filled with light, will become a permanent, pitch-black graveyard, populated only by the husks of what once was, cold brown dwarfs, frozen planets, and the monstrous gravitational remnants of neutron stars and black holes. This begins the degenerate era. For a timescale that is almost impossible to comprehend, the universe will be a cold, dark place where the only action is gravity. Black holes will slowly sweep up the remaining dust and debris, but even this era will end. Over a truly unimaginable span of time, a googol of years, a 1 followed by 100 zeros, even the black holes themselves will evaporate, one particle at a time, through a process called Hawking radiation. When the last black hole has vanished in a final, pathetic flash of light, the universe will enter its final state, the dark era, or heat death. It will be a cold, infinitely large, thin soup of scattered photons and subatomic particles, drifting aimlessly in an endless, empty void. The temperature will be so close to absolute zero that the very concept of motion will cease. No two particles will ever be close enough to interact again. No information can be processed. No work can be done. Nothing can happen, ever again. The horror of the Big Freeze is not in a moment of destruction, but in the sheer, crushing scale of its loneliness and its permanence. It is an end defined by infinite stillness, a cold, vast, and silent eternity. This theory of the Big Freeze, this clock ticking down to an unknowable end, is why the stories we tell now have meaning. If you find value in exploring these profound ideas, subscribe to the channel and join us on this journey. We have seen the fast end and the slow, the unstable fraud that erases us in an instant, and the long night that takes a googol of years to fade to black. But what is it we truly fear? Is it the end of us, or the end of meaning? Is it the sudden violence of a rip, or the cold, agonizing realization that for all our effort, the universe is a clock that was always destined to wind down, leaving no one to remember we were ever here at all? The infernal collapse. For our entire lives, we've been told the universe is expanding. It's the one cosmic fact everyone knows. The idea that it could all just stop and come rushing back in on itself. It sounds like a bad science fiction plot. But this theory, the Big Crunch, is a perfect, terrible symmetry to the Big Bang, and it's entirely dependent on one number we have not yet solved, the precise density of the universe. If the combined stuff in the cosmos, all the matter we can see, all the dark matter we can't, and all the energy is above a certain critical value, then its own collective gravity is strong enough to halt the expansion. The cosmic story, which has been an outward breath for over 13 billion years, would suddenly become an inhale. At first, the change would be invisible. But on Earth, astronomers would one day notice something deeply wrong. The distant galaxies in their telescopes would no longer be red-shifted. Their light stretched as they moved away. They would be blue-shifted. Their light would be compressed, a sign that they were all moving toward us. The universe would no longer be a dark, expanding void, but a shrinking, closing-in prison. As the eons passed, the crunch would accelerate. The night sky would become crowded, a blinding tapestry of approaching galaxies. But the real horror would be the heat. The cosmic microwave background, the faint, cold afterglow of the Big Bang, would be compressed along with everything else. This background radiation, currently just 3 degrees above absolute zero, would heat up. It would rise past boiling. It would become a universal, inescapable oven. The sky itself would catch fire. The background radiation would become hotter than the surface of the sun, bathing all of reality in a blinding, white-hot plasma. Stars would begin to vaporize from the outside in, their own internal heat overwhelmed by the inferno of the shrinking cosmos. Planets would melt, then boil away. In the final moments, the universe would be a raging cosmic furnace, hotter than the core of a supernova. All matter would disintegrate. Stars, black holes, and the remnants of galaxies would all collide, merging into one another as space itself vanished between them. The final end would be a Götterdämmerung of unimaginable proportions, as all of history, all of space, and all of time is crushed back into an infinitely hot, infinitely dense singularity, the exact opposite of its beginning. It is a final, universal fire, a complete and total cosmic reset. The prison of eternity. What if the Big Crunch isn't the end? What if that infinitely hot, dense singularity is just the beginning? Again? A cosmic reset button that erases our universe completely, only to start a new one, over and over, forever. This is the Big Bounce, a theory that turns the horror of oblivion into something far more disturbing, the horror of eternal futility. In this model, the collapse of the Big Crunch does not end in a final, static point. The forces of quantum mechanics, the rules that govern the very small, would step in at the last possible moment, resisting the final crush. The singularity would bounce, exploding outward in a new Big Bang, creating a new universe with new stars, new galaxies, and perhaps, new life. This is the cyclic universe, an endless chain of creation and destruction. The philosophical disturbance of this idea is profound. No information, no memory, no single trace of our existence can survive the transition. The bounce is a perfect information firewall. Our entire cosmos, all of our art, our history, our loves, our wars, our greatest scientific achievements, all of it would be completely and totally erased. Our universe would cease to be, replaced by another. This new universe would live out its own trillion-year lifespan before it too collapsed and bounced, starting the cycle anew. The horror here is not that our story ends. It's that our story is meaningless. It is just one verse in an infinite song, a song that repeats itself for all of time. Some versions of this theory are even more precise and more chilling. They suggest that the fundamental laws of physics are locked in. This means that after the bounce, the new universe would unfold in a way identical to our own. The same galaxies would form in the same places, the same stars would ignite. The same Earth would form, and the exact same life would evolve. You would be born, you would live this exact same life, reading these exact same words, only to be erased and reborn to do it all again, an infinite number of times. It is the ultimate prison, an inescapable loop where free will is an illusion and every action is just a cosmic echo repeated for eternity. The Ice-9 contagion. It sounds like a bad joke from a comic book, a single drop of wrong matter that instantly freezes the world. But in theoretical physics, this joke is called a strangelet, and it's a terrifyingly plausible outcome of neutron-star collisions. This is not a force or an explosion, this is a contagion. The theory begins deep inside the cores of neutron stars, the ultra-dense remnants of massive stars. There, pressures are so immense that protons and neutrons, the building blocks of our reality, may break down into their constituent parts, known as quarks. This creates a soup of up, down, and strange quarks. This soup is called strange matter. The hypothesis is that this strange matter is actually more stable than the normal matter that makes up you, the Earth, and everything we have ever seen. This creates a terrifying possibility. If a tiny, microscopic speck of this strange matter, called a strangelet, were to exist, it would be like a seed of a new, more stable reality. This is the Ice-9 scenario, named for the fictional substance in Kurt Vonnegut's novel Cat's Cradle, a single crystal of which could instantly freeze all the water on Earth. If a strangelet, perhaps flung from the collision of two neutron stars light years away, were to strike the Earth, the chain reaction would be immediate. It would touch a normal atom, and that atom's protons and neutrons would instantly reconfigure, converting into strange matter. This new strange matter would convert the atoms next to it, and so on, in a cascading wave of conversion traveling at near light speed. This would not be a long, drawn-out end. The entire planet Earth would be converted into a hot, dead sphere of strange matter in a matter of seconds. It would not be an explosion, it would be a fundamental phase transition, like water flash, freezing into ice. The planet would simply change from one form of matter to another, a new form that cannot support life, chemistry, or any of the laws we know. The horror of this scenario is its speed and its plague-like nature. The universe would not be ending, but our part of it would be. It suggests that our form of matter is a temporary, unstable state, just waiting for a single, wrong particle to touch it and rewrite our very existence into something else, something strange. The neighbors in the dark string theory suggests our entire three-dimensional universe is just a sheet of paper, a brain, short for membrane floating in a higher, unseen dimension. The theory is elegant, complex, and deeply unsettling. Because in this higher dimension, this bulk, as physicists call it, we are not the only sheet of paper in the void. This model of cosmology, known as M-theory, posits that our Big Bang was not the beginning of everything. Instead, it was the result of a cosmic car crash, the collision of two parallel universes, floating in a fourth or fifth spatial dimension. The cataclysmic energy of that impact is what we perceive as the birth of our universe. But if it happened once, it can happen again. Right now, another brain universe, parallel to ours, with its own galaxies, its own stars, and perhaps its own physics, could be moving through that higher dimension. It could be on a collision course with our own. We would never see it coming. It does not exist in our three dimensions of space. We would have no more warning of its approach than a two-dimensional cartoon character would have of a three-dimensional hand reaching down to touch the page. The end would be sudden, total, and beyond all comprehension. The moment of collision would unleash an amount of energy that dwarfs all other cosmic events. The energy of two universes slamming into each other would instantly destroy everything. Every star, every black hole, every particle in our cosmos would be annihilated in a firestorm that resets all of reality. The fabric of space and time would be destroyed and reformed, triggering a new Big Bang and starting a new universe, one that would have no trace or memory of our own. The horror of this theory is the violation of our reality. It suggests our entire cosmos is fragile, a temporary structure that could be obliterated at any moment by a neighbor we never even knew existed, moving in a direction we cannot even point to. The idea of a cosmic car crash forces us to rethink our place in the cosmos. It's just one of many possibilities. What theory do you find the most disturbing? Let us know in the comments below. The simulation switch. Why are the laws of physics so perfectly, mathematically tuned for life? Tweak the gravitational constant by a fraction of a percent, and stars cannot form. Alter the strong nuclear force, and atoms cannot hold together. One popular and deeply disturbing theory suggests this is no accident. The laws were designed. Our universe is a simulation, and what happens to the characters in a program when the user decides to hit quit? This is the simulation hypothesis. It points to the mathematical, code-like nature of our reality. It looks at the strange, pixelated limit of the quantum world, the Planck length, a minimum possible distance, as if our universe has a screen resolution. It looks at the fine-tuned constants and suggests they are not a miracle of chance, but settings in a program. But the evidence is more than just philosophical. In our own computer simulations, we see that to save processing power, a virtual world is only rendered when an observer is looking at it. This sounds chillingly similar to the quantum measurement problem, where reality seems to snap into a definite state only when it is measured. What if the moon, as Einstein famously pondered, really isn't there when no one is looking? And what about our pixelated reality? The Planck length is a minimum possible distance, a point beyond which the concept of space ceases to exist. Is this a fundamental law of nature, or is it simply the screen resolution of our universe? The implications are staggering. It means our creators are not gods, they are just programmers. If this is true, then the end of the universe will not be a physical event like a big rip or a big crunch. It will be a logical one. The end could come in several forms, all of them instantaneous and absolute. First, there is the simple shutdown. The beings running the simulation, our creators, may have gotten the answer they were looking for. The experiment is over. They power down the hard drive that contains our entire reality. In a single instant, every star, every galaxy, all of human history would simply cease to be. Second, there is the accidental termination. The civilization running our simulation could have its own problems. A power cut, a system crash, a stray solar flare that corrupts the data. Our universe, with all its perceived grandeur, could be erased by an accident in their real world. Third, there is the reboot. Our simulation may be just one of many. The operators may decide to erase our universe to free up processing power for a new one, a new scenario. The horror of this idea is the ultimate philosophical disturbance. It reduces our entire cosmos to a what-if scenario. It means every emotion we've ever felt, every star we've ever observed, every discovery we've ever made is nothing more than a discarded file on a celestial computer. Our existence could be terminated not by a grand law of physics, but by a simple banal keystroke. The universe of eternal darkness. Imagine a future so distant that every star in every galaxy has burned out and gone cold. The universe is a cold, black, silent graveyard, but it is not empty. It is ruled by monsters. This is not the end of the universe, but the final age of the universe, the black hole epoch. This scenario is a specific, horrifying chapter within the Big Freeze. It is the long, dark, middle act of the universe's final journey into nothingness. After the last stars have expired, trillions of years from now, the only objects of significance left will be the black holes. They will be the gravitational kings of a dead cosmos. For a timescale that makes the current age of the universe seem like a nanosecond, nothing will happen in the cosmos, except for these monsters. They will slowly, methodically sweep up the remaining debris of the Stelliferous era, a cosmic cleanup crew in the dark. Cold planets, frozen brown dwarfs, and clouds of dust will be drawn in, one by one, adding to the mass of these gravitational sovereigns. But even these kings, these seemingly eternal objects, will not last. According to the theories of Stephen Hawking, black holes are not truly black. They evaporate over incomprehensible timescales through a process now known as Hawking radiation. They leak, particle by particle, back into the void, and this is where the timescale becomes truly terrifying. A normal stellar mass black hole would take a 1 with 67 zeros worth of years to evaporate. The supermassive black holes at the centers of galaxies will take a googol of years, a 1 with 100 zeros. This sets the stage for the most pathetic, drawn-out finale imaginable. In the cold, absolute darkness, the black holes will slowly shrink. For eons beyond human comprehension, they will shed their mass until, in the final moment, the very last black hole in the universe evaporates, vanishing in a final, tiny, insignificant flash of light. That flash will be the last interesting thing to ever happen. It will plunge the universe into its final, absolute and eternal darkness, the true heat death. The idea of a black hole epoch is a story of ultimate loneliness, a finale stretched over a googol of years. If you know someone who would appreciate the vast, strange, and terrifying nature of our cosmos, share this journey with them. The Great Filter. We have always looked at the night sky and asked, where is everybody? Our galaxy is ancient. In its 13 billion-year history, there has been more than enough time for thousands of civilizations to rise, master interstellar travel, and populate the Milky Way. Yet, we see nothing. We hear only a profound, unsettling silence. The most disturbing theory for this silence is not that we are alone, it's that something is preventing civilizations from reaching us, and it's coming for us next. This is the paradox of Enrico Fermi, and the most chilling solution is called the Great Filter. The theory states that on the long evolutionary path from simple matter to a galaxy-spanning civilization, there is a filter, a barrier or a challenge that is so improbable, so difficult, that 99.999% of all life that ever arises fails to pass it. The entire fate of humanity rests on one terrifying question: is this filter behind us, or is it in front of us? If the filter is behind us, we are the galaxy's golden ticket. Perhaps the jump from non-life to life, or from single-celled to complex multi-celled organisms, was the near-impossible step that we, by sheer luck, have already passed. It would mean we are the first and only intelligent species to have made it this far. The universe is empty, but it is ours for the taking. But the more disturbing possibility is that the filter is in front of us. This would mean that life evolves all the time, that intelligence is common, but that something invariably and predictably prevents those civilizations from becoming interstellar. What could this filter be? The optimistic theories suggest it is self-destruction. That every advanced civilization inevitably discovers a technology like nuclear weapons or runaway artificial intelligence that leads to its own swift and total downfall. The truly pessimistic theory is that the filter is not us, it is something else. A cosmic predator, an ancient, advanced civilization that actively hunts and eradicates any upstart species that becomes too loud, too noticeable. Or it could be a law of physics we have not yet discovered, a natural event that is triggered by advanced technology, which sterilizes entire worlds. In this scenario, the silence we hear in the stars is not an empty sky, it is the sound of a graveyard. 10 final goodbyes. But the most disturbing theory is the one we haven't thought of yet. The one that is hiding in plain sight, written in the laws of physics we read every day, just waiting for us to finally understand, 1 second too late. The void is vast, and these are just the first of its dark secrets. To continue this journey into the unknown, subscribe to this channel, and like this video to signal that you are ready for whatever comes next.